What's going on, guys? It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ. Fire content only, and it's the off season. We're here. It's off season. Dynasty startups are starting already. Mock drafts are underway. I was just in a mock draft not too long ago, a couple days ago, and I had some fun. We're just trying to pinpoint where these guys are going. It's way too early. It's still January, but I just wanted to get an eye of where these guys are going and get some expectations in order, some situations, ironed out. So today we're going to be talking about Amon Ra St. Brown, Lions wide receiver. Now, I got to say, I love the talent. I'm happy he had a breakout game, but I just want to give you guys a different perspective to look at things. I want to open your mind up just a little bit, get those gears in the mind going. I usually don't go against the grain, with guys like this. He's young, rookie, going to his second year, but there's something going on in the fantasy community right now. Just the general population, everybody saw those breakout games, the 5-6 games that he went crazy. But let's really look at it from a little telescope. Let's dive into it. Let's see exactly what happened and why it happened. I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. So I don't want to waste any more time. So let's get right into the episode. So before we jump into it, make sure you hit that link in the bio. Sign up today at Pricepix.com using promo code FCO. You guys be set up for success because they're matching up to $100, people. It's not too late. Get some playoff money. You can make some bets, over unders. Go ahead. FCO is the promo code, and they're matching up to $100. It's free money. You put in 50, you get 50. You put in 100, you get 100. It's free money. Double it up. Let's get this money. So let's talk about Amon Ra St. Brown. So Amon, great talent, man. The last 6 weeks, he just turned up. Ever since week 13, it's just been Amon Ra. So Amon has been one of the guys that we all been rooting for going into this offseason. We wanted him to basically show up and show out to be that wide receiver one, for the Lions. Because, the Lions basically had no pass catchers. They had really nobody. All it was TJ Hawk and DeAndre Swift. So that's set in stone over there for those two head honcho guys that demand those targets. So let's look at what happened. Now, we cannot ignore how similar his story is to a Brandon Ayuk, last season, going into this season, or even Tyler Higbee, 2019, when he had those 5 games where he was putting up tight end one numbers. So it's like, what happened? Why did that happen? Because we were responsible. I say all of us. I'm not going to just act like I'm the superior fantasy analyst or whatever. We were all responsible for pushing these guys' ADPs up. So I've been on, the other side of saying don't draft Tyler Higbee so high. He went in the 6th round that year after, going into 2020 for being, a tight end one, a top 5 tight end, because all the things were aligned. But it's like, hey, listen, it took 5 players to have some type of situation for Tyler Higbee to do what he did. For him to have a tight end one, back into the season, 5 games in a row, touchdown, 100 yards, et cetera, it needed hurt Brandon Cooks. He needed a banged up Cooper Kupp. He needed a broken Todd Gurley, an underdeveloped Josh Reynolds, just to do all this with Gerald Everett out, of course, with injury. He needed all that to happen, all the stars to align, for all those players to have some type of situation for him to do anything after 3.5 years. You know what I mean? Just to be able to do anything, fantasy relevant. So I feel like with hype trains like that, they build on, recency bias, how they finished the back end of the season. And then boom, they go in the 6th round. They go in the 5th round. Brandon Ayuk, perfect example. Everybody was saying Brandon Ayuk over Deebo Samuel. And look at the year that Deebo had. It was kind of like ignorance. That's what I, want to say about it, because it was to the point where nobody was really looking at why Brandon Ayuk had those solid wide receiver 2 games. Like, all those games didn't include a Deebo, didn't include a Kittle, so he didn't exist. If we look at his target share, he didn't exist with Deebo Samuel and Kittle both healthy 100%. It took both of them to get injured for him to do anything, for him to put up any type of fantasy relevant points. Like I said, I'm not going to take away from these guys' talent, but targets are earned, people. We need to understand that and stamp that and put that in stone. Targets are earned. So let's get back to Amon. I look at it, and we see TJ Hawk go out. We see, DeAndre Swift go out. And then these 5-6 games, he goes crazy. He goes ballistic. He's 5 out of, 6 weeks, he had a touchdown. And I feels like, a lot of people were just looking at him being a playmaker. They're running jet sweeps. He's winning the game for them, catching the touchdown for the first win, et cetera, et cetera. All these things are great. But it took 12 weeks for this to happen. And a lot of people say, you know what? It takes reps. Rookies, it takes a couple weeks. It takes some time. But that's what I'm keeping in the back of my mind. But also at the same time, he didn't do this at all. The first 12 weeks, a very slow start, I would say. Didn't do this at all. It took DeAndre Hopkins to go down with injury. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, DeAndre Swift to go down with injury, and then TJ Hawk. So it's like, come on, man. So with Amon only averaging 4.3 targets per game, those 12 weeks, that's how many targets he was averaging. The target share was not strong. So of course, it's going to happen when you take out 1A, 1B, the alphas of that offense out of the equation. So you're probably thinking like, you know what? Hey, whatever the case may be, DeAndre Swift was out, TJ Hawk was out. It just showcased his talent that they can lean on him, which is correct. He built some trust. He built some type of case where they can lean on him as the wide receiver one. My problem is that he hadn't did any of this. He hasn't averaged the targets or had that target share or demand those type of looks in the end zone with a TJ Hawk and Swift existing. So I don't know all this can happen with all three of these guys coexisting and who takes the hit. So it's a matter, is he going to demand more targets than Swift? Probably not. Is he going to demand more targets than TJ Hawk? Maybe. Maybe it's an even split between the two. Maybe they both take the hit. I just feel as though we're pushing his ADP up probably way too high. I'm not going to say a number or what round he's going at, but I just feel as though as much hype is going on right now, like on the social medias and stuff, it looks like his ADP is going to be in the 5th round, maybe even higher. Just basically, going back to how Brandon Ayuk was or a Tyler Higbee, their ADP is being pushed up because of what we saw in the back end of the season when key players were injured. That's what I don't want you guys to like fall victim of. So you're probably thinking like, you know what, it took time for rest. But the thing is like we saw a Khalif Raymond from week 3 to week 7 average 6.6 targets per game. He even had one 100-yard game against the Rams while coexisting with a TJ Hawk and a Swift. You see what I'm saying? A guy like that, able to do that, able to put up 100 yards, able to find the end zone, able to put up fancy relevant points from week 3 to week 7 while coexisting with the two head honchos. You see what I'm saying? They weren't hurt. They weren't injured, anything like that. And he's a young player too. I'm not saying he's going to be a pest to Brown. I'm not saying he's going to be anything, demanding more targets than Amon, week to week. I feel like Amon has been solid as that wide receiver one. But when it comes to the target priority, the target order, it's probably going to be Swift, Hawk, and then Brown. And it could possibly be, Swift, Brown, then Hawk. But again, that's not him being a wide receiver one. That's how people are praising him as a wide receiver one, putting up elite points week to week, averaging this and averaging that with a strong target share above 20%. Yes, which is great. But hear me out. It's crazy to think, going into this next season, he will do what he did the last 6 weeks of the season. Probably not. It's not going to be so, butterly caked in, Skittles and Happy New Year, basically with Amon Ra just killing it every single week. I just feel as though we cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore the facts. We cannot ignore he didn't do this with a TJ Hawk and Swift. I just want you guys to be careful when you go to draft day and when you do these dynasty startups and stuff like that. Young player, great talent, great things ahead of him, but we got to remember, one, it's the Lions. 2, Jared Goff is the quarterback as of right now. And 3, he's possibly the third option in our offense, which goes back to my point that I keep bringing up, that Brandon Ayuk had the same story. And we just saw Brandon Ayuk finish exactly where he finished that last season with the whole, small delay in the beginning of the season, but he still ended up wide receiver 35 in PPR formats, back-to-back years. Nothing changed. You see what I'm saying? So I just want you guys to be cautious. That's the only place where I'm getting at. I just want to think outside the box. I don't want to jump on, the hype train, what everybody else is saying, what everybody's doing, because believe me, I have shares. I'm very happy with Amon right now on my rosters. I'm very happy what he did for me the last 6 weeks of the fantasy football season. But I'm just saying, for these new guys that are going out there for dynasty startups, or I'm even thinking redraft, man, I'm like, how high is he possibly going to be? Because again, the Lions have draft picks. They might bring in some more wide receivers or some type of talent, or who knows, man? Who knows what they do this year in the draft? But again, you got to look at it from a clear lens. I want you guys to at least think, get your mind going, just get the gears rolling to think like, hold up, maybe I should pump the brakes. Maybe I shouldn't go all in because, man, just last week in the fantasy community, we just saw Amon and Debo basically going a straight up trade. Like, come on, man. See what I'm saying? It's getting out of hand early. You know what I mean? Like Debo just had a great year that he just had, and I feel as though it's only going to continue as long as he stay healthy. Kyle Shanahan found out what he can do with Debo. I feel like he always did. He always knew what to do with Debo. It's just Debo just being more cautious with his body, not always looking for contact. I feel like this year he did a better job of not always looking for contact because he's like a kind of like a big body wide receiver trying to truck everybody. You know what I mean? So I feel as though with Debo being activated now, the whole Brandon Ayuk thing is just it is what it is. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 flex, every other week type ordeal. But back to Amon, I feel like if you're actually a shareholder of Amon and you have him right now and you're looking to trade him, hey, if I can trade him and get Debo Samuel in return, hey, I love it because you got to think about what you paid for Amon. You paid close to nothing. You probably picked him up off the waiver. So if you could flip him for a valuable wide receiver 1, low end wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 every single week, man, you flip it. You do that. You know what I mean? But if you're looking to buy, I would kind of wait. I would kind of wait to settle. This isn't a buy moment right now for Amon. It's not a buyer's market for him right now. It's kind of like it's a little too expensive. People are asking for, first and second rounds. People are asking for Debo Samuel. People are asking for, crazy things. I've seen Kyle Pitts go up for an offer for Amon. And these are things where, you're looking at it like, what? But again, not everybody is in the league with, very experienced guys or fantasy analysts or whatever the case may be. Most average players, are first timers or people with friends and family. They're just hanging out and just having fun. Not everybody's taking it like 100% serious or competitive to the max. So you're able to get these trades off. Every league is different. That's something to remember. Every single league is different. Not every league is the same. So again, I don't know what your league mates are willing to give up for a Mon or a Debo or a Pitts or whoever, you know what I mean? So I feel as though you have to know your league mates. You have to know your league mates' tendencies, and maybe you could play, to their favor. Maybe they're a Lions fan, whatever the case may be. You could play the homer card. So I feel as though this video is just to give you a different perspective, just to get your mind going, to be cautious when it comes to these startups and do a couple mock drafts just to see where he goes, just to see where, the level is of like hype, where people are trying to go get him at all costs. Because again, I'd rather lose sleep. I'd rather look silly, if he does blow up, than risking it all. And then you basically lose everything. And now you're sitting there with the egg on your face. So that wraps up this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And please make sure you like and subscribe and go hit that link in the bio, Pricepix.com. Sign up today using promo code FCO. You guys be set up for success, man. Double the money. It's free money, man. You put in 100, you get 100. It's easy as that. Go win some money this weekend for the playoff games. And hey, see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.